action, gruesome murder, a ruthless vigilante, and it's all topped off by stellar cinematography. The movie is fantastic, except for one section in the middle of the movie, but let's take it from the top. Hi, I'm Pat, and today I'm gonna take a look at The Batman starring Robert Pattinson as the titular Caped Crusader. The good stuff. As far as I can remember, silver screen adaptations of Batman have mostly been about foiling the bad guy's plans with kicks, punches, and ludicrous gadgets, just in the nick of time. But that's not all there is to The Dark Knight. In the movies, he is often portrayed in a heroic manner, thwarting the outrageous plans to destroy the city by extraordinary villains, rather than a vigilante who operates outside the law, much to the dismay of the very people tasked with upholding it. For once we learn about Batman's source of inspiration to do the things he does, as we are introduced to the untouchable corruption strangling the city, and as it grows and starts to encroach on the Wayne family's legacy. The newest entry rectifies that to an extent, and I'm totally on board with that. Inspired by Batman Year One, Dark Victory, and most notably The Long Halloween, Warner Brothers finally allowed Batman to live up to his moniker of the world's greatest detective. After all, the DNC used to stand for Detective Comics. I'm glad to see the broader audience being introduced to Batman's often overlooked sleuth qualities and extraordinary brains, and not just his trademark brooding and impeccable brawling. While it's still there, it's been toned down to more realistic levels for a more well-rounded rendition of the character. If you're one of those people who prefers an omega beam dodging, borderline godlike Batman, I'm sorry to disappoint. This movie might not be for you.
Impressive. No one has ever avoided my Omega Beam.
The bad stuff. The movie is not perfect. It clocks in at almost 3 hours, and you can't help but notice its lengthy runtime when the pace begins to slow down in the middle and the story veers away from the Riddler and onto a tangent about the past involving Selina Kyle, Carmine Falcone, Thomas, and Martha Wayne. I do understand why they did it. When Bruce learns about what his dad had done, it's to shake his resolve as Batman. The test of character is a very common story element, and it's usually placed in the middle of a story. And I know the Selina Kyle's relationship with Falcone comes from a spin-off, but I must say, incorporated into the movie, it felt cluttered and rushed. It was okay at best, but mostly redundant. The movie could have done easily without it. Selina Kyle already wanted vengeance for her murdered friend. Complicating her backstory and adding a second victim to the mix didn't improve much on the story. The resulting revenge scene wasn't executed well either. She manages to isolate Falcone, then just randomly sits around waiting for Batman to interfere. In my opinion, all that did was unnecessarily lengthen the movie while taking the spotlight off the Riddler. Instead, I would have loved to have seen a young Batman get the riddle wrong or partially wrong, and then struggle to cope with the consequences and vote to be better. The Martha and Thomas revelation was too little to be interesting and resolved too quickly. They started to assassinate Thomas Wayne's character, but seemingly ran out of time and proceeded to half-heartedly wrap it up and reinstate Batman's resolve with a one-liner from Alfred.
Your father was a good man.
The Adaptation Problem. Whenever source material exists, the creators must ask themselves which parts and how they can adapt the source material. Adapting everything isn't feasible, especially when source material spans over more than 80 years worth of stories, so they need to be very selective about it. For the most part, the Batman 2022 adapted their inspirational source material rather well, except for the aforementioned middle-ish parts, which made the movie feel a bit overstuffed and cluttered, like the Martha Wayne's Arkham connection. I really like the choice of Riddler as the main villain, although I must say, Riddler's whole shtick is to outsmart the Batman, which he kinda accomplishes, giving him a controversial win.
You mean you didn't figure it out? Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were.
He starts out as a direct antagonist to Batman, being seemingly better at unveiling the corruption in the city. But alas, as the movie progresses, he devolves into a homicidal and destructive anti-establishment maniac, akin to Ra's al Ghul and Anarchy. I personally wasn't too fond of that character development, but overall I think the movie strikes a great balance in regards to showcasing the ordinary and extraordinary villains the Batman franchise has to offer. The sad truth is that Batman adaptations often do not use the villains from the comics, but comical villains instead. Final thoughts. All in all, I was pleasantly surprised by the movie. I had heard about the rave reviews it was getting, and while I usually don't give a damn about critics' reviews, I was intrigued to say the least. While I don't think it's a masterpiece, mostly because of the cluttered middle part, I do think this is arguably the best Batman movie to date, even possibly edging out Nolan's Batman Begins.
Well,
I really love how we get to see Batman still figuring things out, rather than him already being in his prime and pulling experimental tech out of thin air as needed. In my opinion, this younger iteration gives the audience a better opportunity to bond with Pattinson's Batman as we witness him maturing through possible sequels. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. What do you guys think? How did you like the movie? Was it too long? Is it better than Nolan's Batman? Do you guys agree or disagree? Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. And as always, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, try another one. And if you'd like to see more, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.